I'll introduce you as best as I possibly can. And good morning, my friends. Here we go. Another great day. And it is that much closer to, well, you thought I was going to say the end of the year, didn't you? It's that much closer to his New Year's resolutions, the rewriting of the business plan, the rewriting of everything. You're going to love today's guest because he has not sat still. He doesn't know. I don't think he knows how to sit still, actually. We'll ask about that one. But we live in this world of change. Obviously, he lives in this world of change also. Personal reasons, business goals, whatever. It all changes up. Setting goals, very important. Putting them into action. Wait to hear this one. All right, first thing we're going to put into action over here is our friend. That's right, our buddy, the number one singer in the morning. He is the money who helps money grows on trees. Donnie Vapor. Donnie, kick it off this morning, will you?
Hi, everybody. I am Donnie Vapor from Donnie Vapor Music on Facebook Live, and I'm going to play you a quick song just before we turn it over to your host, Brian Cohen. This song is called Money Grows on Trees. I hope you enjoy. Easy go, easy go. The birds roll through my pocket. I could never watch it grow. I spend it fast like a rocket. It gratifies me instantly. I even thought about the listen. I go from full down to empty. Money grows on trees, but you like to help me shake it. Money grows on trees, you gotta make it till you make it. Clank, clink, 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 clank, chit, 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 chang. Ball, ball, ball. Exquisite taste, expensive style. Yes, I'm a real extender. I wake up in denial. From an adult on a bender. Life is short, so let's have fun. You're all invited to my party. This song goes out to everyone. Money grows on trees, bet you like to help me shake it. Money grows on trees, you gotta make it till you make it. Clank, clink, clink, clinkety clank, chit, 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 chang. Ball, ball, ball. This rich man sure has fun. Yes, I'm so sick and wealthy. All day long, I'm getting bum. Because my bank account is healthy. I lie here tanning in the sun. Playing some blow the horn of plenty. This game of life I surely won. Money grows on trees, bet you like to help me shake it. Money grows on trees, you gotta make it till you make it. Clank, clink, clink, clinkety clank, chit, 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 chang. Hey, thank you very much. That's one of my Donnie Vapor original tunes. And I hope that you'll give my page a look, Donnie Vapor Music on Facebook, and subscribe. That would be, well, you don't subscribe, you follow and you like, if you'd like to hear some more original tunes. And without further ado, I'm going to toss it right over to your host, Brian Cohen. Take care, guys, and have a great day.
Thank you, Donnie. And again, I've heard Donnie is feeling better and better. We're going to have him on one morning, and you get a chance to speak to him directly. So that'd be really cool. Goals. Wow, goals are something. One of the goals that I want to do is be a little bit more organized, putting this thing together. One of the things that I think I need to put on that list is learning how to type a little bit quicker in the morning to make the thing work. But that's a minor thing, isn't it? Is it really? Is that like the goal? I don't think so. I think that's an actionable step to reach the goal. because again, that bigger picture thing is to be able to do more and more with this program. So, goals, should they be reachable goals or should they be lofty goals? Where should that be? And who's to say what? Hmm. Let's see. I have a feeling our guest today could address that one a little bit because some of the goals you put together, straightforward. Others, a little bit more so. And I definitely love those more soul goals. So, David, what do you say? Let me open the door over here, invite you to start that video and join us this morning on Forward Looking Business Ideas. And you, my friend, are some of the people that make it happen.
Well, thanks, Brian. I appreciate you bringing me on, and it's always good to talk to you. We know each other for a couple of years. Yeah, goals are really important. So goals to speed up your typing would definitely be a short-term goal, right? But it leads to everything else, right? Every goal, and that's why I always like talking to people about short-term goals that lead to large, longer-term goals, right? You don't want to necessarily make the goals too big that they become overwhelming, and you're like, oh, I can't do that. And anything that you think you can't do, you probably can. You just need to figure out the right way to do it.
Right, very true. That's where the coach, accountability partner comes in. And I got so many examples of that. Not only how it makes it work, but how it makes it better for both parties, whether you are the one being coached or the one doing the coaching. It's just great to see things happen. But you are right though. It's like sometimes we're like, oh, I think I'm going to do this, and I it's a big goal, and then you turn around and you share the idea with somebody. You're like, oh, Dave, I want to run a marathon this year. And your comment to me was, is that a good idea? And I'm thinking to myself, why did I ask him? Or he's right. So how do you like filter out other people's comments that you don't
Well,
want, they don't give you the answer you really wanted?
well, the answer is that's why I always say I'm a mentor versus a coach. A coach sends in the plays, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, Brian. It's what's right for you, and everybody has something that's different that's going to be right for them. For me, it's a mentor. We could talk about it. We could figure out why you want to run a marathon if that's what you really want to do, and there's goals. How do you do that? You don't just start running 12 miles a day. You need to build that up, right? There's lots of programs out there to do that to be successful. And what does running a marathon look like for you? So there's a lot of different ways to identify the goals, and that's why it's helpful to talk to somebody who can help formulate it if you're not good at coming a plan. Sometimes you're able to create your own plans for yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of it depends on who you are and how you like to hear feedback. Some people don't want to hear feedback. I know all the answers. I know how to do it all. And I've been there on that side also. And
Mhm.
that was one of the things I learned this year is I knew a lot of things, but if you don't apply them, it doesn't matter that you know them.
Right. Yeah. And I was just making up the marathon thing.
Yeah, no, I knew that, but
I did, I did that one 3 times. I get a few other goals in there, but with this pandemic, and that's another thing too. It's like the outside influences on it. I had expected to go climb Mount Washington in 2020 this year, so couldn't make that happen. My wife wanted me to get a physical before going. I was like, I'm not going to the doctor for no reason, and that kind of thing. But there are outside influences that without a doubt impact the goal setting. So there probably should be if you're in a relationship with somebody where this is a story of a guy who he ran a triathlon, full blown triathlon. All right, the day of the event is one thing, but it took him a year to prepare for that. So how important really is it to share a common interest in your goal with someone who's going to, well, there's a sacrifice that went along with that. It was a sacrifice of family time in that one.
well, the sacrifice. I mean, the sacrifices in everything that we do and how we manage that. But it is helpful to have an accountability person. It doesn't have to be a partner. It could be uh, a coach, or it could be anybody else. There is that piece of like, hey, am I doing it right? Just because I know the answers doesn't mean I'm applying it right. I mean, that's the whole trick in life. I mean, not only in goal setting, but in life. Like, from your perspective what you mean, but it's how it's received by other people.
Yeah.
And if it's not received the right way, it's that recalibration we always work on to figure out how we could say things differently. And that's what it is. And like even just talking about this past year with And this next year, in the beginning of the year, is not going to look as pleasant yet either. But everybody keeps talking about how negative it was. And I want to say, stop talking about that. There's opportunities, and you can't do everything. You're not going to travel to Tahiti yet. But that doesn't mean that you can't plan for a trip. So even if you were going to go to Tahiti, you're still going to need to pick out the right things to pack. So similar. It's coming up with a plan that is going to work for you. And that's one of the huge pieces of goal objectives is find the goal. What is your end goal? If your end goal is to be a millionaire, great. Then how are you going to go do that? Playing lotto will only get you so far. And it's not a great way of success. It could be, right? All you need is one shot, right? I just need one lightning bolt. But there's other ways to build success. There's other ways to do things. And you have to be willing to look at the way that you did things in the past and might not have been as successful as you would like to. And why weren't they successful? Or how were they? How could you become more successful?
That's interesting. That was a comment that came up earlier this week too. I mean, first and foremost, you got to know who you are, what you are, value you have, all the rest of that stuff that you see, that you bring to the table, not what other people see. What other people see about you is all about branding, right? But what your true value is, what you really know your true value is, that really becomes the I think, the beginning stage of the whole thing. All right, so here we are at the end of the year. What do you think about like New Year's resolutions, stuff like that? Does it make sense, or is it just
Well, it makes sense if you need to say that on January 1 to start life. I think life can start at any moment. It could start today. There's no reason why on December 31st you can't decide to start something that you want to start in 2 days or in 4 days, or you should have started last week.
Mhm.
It's one of those things that it just comes to you when you want to do it. That's the thing, is you have to choose. No matter the best mentor that you can have, it's still you going to have to make the changes.
right?
No, I've worked with people and they're like, "Oh, Dave, I disappointed you." I'm like, "You don't disappoint me. It is what it is. You do what you want. It's your life. It's, how you value our time." And those are the things. I mean, those are the lessons I had to learn for myself as well. Again, like I said earlier, I knew a lot of things, but how much of it was I applying, and why wasn't I applying it? So it's a good time management skill that you just need to have. I mean, that's why this year for me was not as negative as other people had experienced. And I don't believe all these people, oh, it's such a weird world. And, how much different would our lives be if we were allowed to do everything again? We'd be traveling a little bit more, but most people still wouldn't probably get off Long Island, since I know you and I live on Long Island, right? They wouldn't be doing a whole lot more. They would go shopping, and you can go shopping now. You want to go out to the park? You can go to the park now. You might need to wear a mask, and that's just a safety piece. And there's talk about either way, but science will win if we really believe it, and that's what's going to happen, in my opinion.
Well, but it's interesting about the travel, and it's I've been to I've been to more places this year, sitting in my room here, but I have been to more places and I've interviewed, and not even with the show. I mean, just other things. So they have these walking tours. We went on vacation one time. We're up in Newport, Rhode Island. We took a walking tour. This was years ago. Loved the thing, right? So then this other thing came up for Halloween, and it was a tour of Bram Castle, with Dracula. I attended that thing. New York Adventure Club's got all these tours of different places in the city. So there's with the Zoom stuff, with these online videos, you could go and do any place. It's different, but it's different. But it's going to be different. And I agree. I mean, people just waiting, for things to go back to normal. There is no going back.
There is. We'll go back to normal. I mean, really, it's much like after 9/11. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're just going to peace and love," and that's what's going to happen at the beginning. And then we're going to go back to, I want to get back on the line. I want to do this, and we will get back. Science will lead us back, and we'll eventually get back to what our normal is. Probably towards the end of next year, and that's what we have to look at. It is, how are we going to build it? So, again, we're not going to open the door one day and go, "That's it, it's done." But what are you doing to get to there? So that's the whole, when you talk about goals, you have to write it down, figure out, and not list too many goals. People like come up with 10 goals. I always go no more than 3. And then you can always change it. And you can find out why. Because if you're balancing too many plates, like that was one of my biggest crutches for myself. I would spin a lot of plates. As you had mentioned, I do a lot of things, but that's not always good because there's only so much time in the day. No matter how much you cram in, there's only so much time to do what you can do. And if you're spinning a lot of plates, you might not be doing everything well.
Right. Yeah, you gotta keeping that time log, is definitely a big thing. But the idea though that we're gonna go back to exactly what we were doing is not there. Because as you had mentioned, and I'd like to hear about one of the things that you're taking on now as something that's new, probably maybe because of this, I don't know. But we're now changing. Businesses are changing. We're changing the way that we're doing things. Will we go back to shopping in a store and in networking events where we should shaking hands or at least bumping elbows? Yeah, we certainly will get back to that. But a lot of the things that we've had to do in 2020 will be things that we want to continue to do in 21, 22, and beyond. So that's where it's going to be different. And I think just waiting for the I've heard people say, "Oh, as soon as this is COVID is over, I'll pick up again." Like, huh?
Yeah,
Not
the world will be different a little bit, but it's also going to go back to the same. I mean, we're going to have our speaking in environments and things like that because we also need that human touch. So as you were saying, you were traveling, to Brahms Castle, which is awesome, but I'm sure the experience of being at Brahms Castle is much different than the video. It's a great replacement for the time being, but I don't know if that now motivates you to go to Brahms Castle or it just takes you one off the check mark, but it gives you an opportunity to see some place that you had not seen.
Yeah, that was not really on the checklist. It's one of those, wow, wouldn't it be cool kind of a thing, but no, it really wasn't. So
good.
traveling to different places that I never really would have gone to.
Yeah,
we'll do the walking tour stuff.
See, like for me, one of my places is I'd like to go to the Galapagos Islands or Machu Picchu. Seeing a video of it is okay. It's going to be great. It's nice, but I think the experience is there. I mean, that's what life is experience. So last year, I'll share with you how I started off my year. I was coming out of the worst personal things that I was going through. I think I shared with you, and I spoke at my TEDx about that I tried to hurt myself. And right after that experience, somebody attacked me verbally to try to push me back into that mindset. But shortly after that, January 1st, I did something that I had always wanted to do. So talking about something, taking that check mark off, I had done the polar bear plunge in Coney Island. Growing up in Brooklyn, it was always something somebody else always did. And I had just seen that as an opportunity, as I do a lot of charity work, and they asked for a donation to do that.
Yeah.
And I did that. It was cold. I would have done it again this year. I have to say, it was such a unique experience. And that's what we need to start focusing on, our experiences, our goals. It was a goal that came up with for me. It was always something in the back of my head that I wanted to do. Much like my TEDx talk. I always wanted to do a TEDx talk.
Yeah. The TEDx is that's
and I was able to do that.
Doing the polar bear plunge in Coney Island too. I mean, that's the place of places. That's great.
Oh, right. That's the place to play. We're going to do it. I mean, I know on Long Island we have it, and there's other places to do it. But to do it at the Coney Island, growing up in Brooklyn and always hearing about it, and to do it, it was a unique experience. And again, when I talk about creating a tribe or a clan, that was it. No matter who you were at that point, when you were going in, you felt connected to each one of those people. And the people who were watching us were cheering us on. And it was just a unique experience. And I needed to personally take that plunge. So not only figuratively, but also literally. And it was something that I won't ever forget because, I have a couple pictures of it, but it was a meaningful piece to start off my year that I needed to take the plunge to do something and not hold back. And that would be one of the things that I would tell people with any sort of goals. Come up with a realistic goal that you could do and make it simple. You know, success is seeing, part of success is seeing your goals. Not only just saying, oh, I want to do this, seeing it, you know, and then understanding what obstacles you have. I mean, that's why I have a little thing of like what success means is seeing your goals, understanding your obstacles, created, you know, the mental picture. Having a mental picture is huge because we can see it, we feel it, we taste it, we know what we're expecting, you know, and then we also want to clear our mind of self-doubts, you know, doubt our doubts. That's one of the biggest things that I would say to people to prevent yourself from doubting yourself. Well, why can't you doubt your doubts? You know, and you know, then embrace the challenge completely. Like walking into that water, you know, last year, you start walking, and I could have stopped at any point. Nobody was pushing me,
No.
but I was just like, here we go. I mean, on the live feed of my TEDx, that's exactly what I said. Is here goes nothing. Right? There was no stepping back. It was a live feed. There was nothing that I mean, I could have stopped. Right? Nothing was going to prevent me. They weren't going to beat me up if not. But
No.
it was like, I got to do it. You know, and then just stay on track with whatever your goal is. Find ways to stay on track. And if you're finding yourself get off track like we do, then find a way to get back on track. That's the huge piece of it. And then also show the world you can do it. Be proud about it. That's why right after my the TEDx, I didn't push out as much. But the plunge, the polar bear plunge, I put a, you know, video on it of how I was feeling and things like that. And, you know, the TEDx is coming out soon. The final TEDx version. So it was a live feed, and then they clean it up, and then go to the live feed. So you'll see a lot more of that. But it's all about setting goals, you know, and you have to motivate yourself. So I've been talking about creating this podcast for, you know, for the whole year. I've been talking about it, and I will also admit that at times I get too distracted. Also, I hold myself back. But like I always say, peace, love, and bring a bat. So I do have a bat, and with the bat is just taking a stand. It's not being violent, and that's how you set goals. Is you got to take a stand for yourself. How bad do you want it? So how bad do I want this podcast? Well, later this week I'll be launching it because I've recorded 3 personal episodes, and then I'm going to bring on people like yourself who I want to hear about how you took a stand in your life. Not only how did you find peace and love, and I know you're in photography, and we can probably have a whole show just on photography,
Yeah.
but you know, we need to find out how people, not only high level people, take a stand, because it's easy to say, I've been given everything, but how you've worked for to get where you've gotten, and where do you find peace and love? And you know, everybody thinks those are easy words, but it's really one of the most hardest things to find out.
Yeah. You know, and that, my friend, I really think is the key to every successful business plan, resolution, call it whatever you will, right? The reachable goals and all the rest of that stuff. I agree. But you know, when you're sitting there, let's read the body language, folks. Okay, you're looking at David. What is David doing? He's ready to go. You know, he's all fired up. He's leaning forward. He's there. It's that passion that makes it happen. And that is it. That is absolutely my mind, you know, the key to making it happen, and putting together the steps to make it work. Man, you know, you definitely got that thing together, you know. You know, you talk about doubt, you know, because inevitably, you know, you're going to wind up making some mistakes as you go along with the podcast, and all of a sudden learning from that. How are you working your way, you know, through that? How are you going to approach that? And I feel like a lawyer now because I think I know the answer on this one. But how are you going to approach that? Your own mind. How are you going to approach that? You know, when you have a little blip in the way.
Well, you just roll with it. You know, I mean, I always say, you know, there's an R in my heart. So there's a lot of different ones. There's resistance, you know, so you have to find what the resistance is and why there is. But I always talk about the renaissance on keep going and moving forward. How do we grow? What are we looking at? And we learn from everything. So I don't expect my first episode to be perfect, and I will get better, right? So it's like anything else. You know, as a speaker, the first time I got up in front of a crowd, I was like a little scared. Now put me up in front of a crowd. Okay. You know, recently, well, I guess 2 years ago, they asked me to get up in front of a crowd. I had nothing to prepare to talk about. And then within a few minutes, I was just like, I got it, you know, and then we do it. And that's what you do, is you just keep looking for that special moment, that connection, that rebirth, because I talk about the phoenix a lot, about rising, and all these R's, about remembering, refreshing ourselves, take a breath, breathing, hitting reset. All these things are opportunities for us to then move forward. And what type of goals do you want to do, and how do you want to do it? It's okay to fail. I mean, Thomas Edison, right? He said, I failed 99 times, but what I learned about it is 99 ways of not doing it right. So you just need to find that one right thing, and you start building off of it, and find ways that keep your spark. I mean, I really do get recharged by doing these type of things, because it just reminds me of what I want to do and who I want to be, and where I've fallen in the past will not be where I'm going to fall again. And I'm going to learn and retool and recalibrate all these things.
Perfect, man. That's great. I love hearing that kind of level of enthusiasm. It just makes it work. It definitely does. Because no matter what issue we run across, and oh my God, I've shared many of them by doing this thing too. But I didn't know what I was going to have an issue with until I did it. So the idea of learning by doing and understanding the reset, understanding all that and what that whole process is. It's not how to do a podcast, but it's the process of learning to do a better podcast. I mean, that really becomes the key to the whole thing. And you know exactly when to go with it. That's great. You got the bat to make it happen. That actionable step, man. It's all good. David, really thrilled you were able to join us this morning. Contact information. Certainly when we get done, you can go in the comments section and you'll put all the links up for everything. This way everybody has it. But if you want to share anything now, as we say goodbye for this morning's program.
David Chametsky on Facebook. We're the only one. Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I have a webpage, David Chametsky. I have a couple of things, and like I said, I'm launching the podcast, so I'll definitely invite you to come on and talk about it a little bit. But also, I'll share it with you, and we got to talk more about the Long Island Speakers Bureau. Keeping all this Long Island strong stuff going on.
Yeah, I've done a reset with a whole bunch of things, and you could ask me why I like photography, not about photography, why I like photography.
Well, I can tell you why I like photography also, not about photography, but well, that's a whole show that we can have.
Let's save that for the show. All right. Hey, have a great day. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year. Thanks a lot.
You too, my friend. Happy New Year. There you go. All right, so what's the key to success? Here's the key to success. Here is how you make a business plan, a New Year's resolution, whatever it is. All right. You want to find a catalyst and wait for a date to make it happen? All right. So be it. Should you? Well, it depends on you. If you want to do that, I tell you, that's it. But you get it down, you get your piece of paper out, you write all the things that you're thinking of, jot it down. Don't filter, just jot it down. And when you're done, and when you see the things that get you excited and you go, yeah, you got it. If you can't go, yeah, if you can't be leaning forward in your chair like David was when you're talking about the things you want to do, you haven't figured it out yet. So keep working on that. Make that happen. Right? That might be a fun thing to do New Year's Day. We're not going to have a lot of people over or anything like that. Most of us not going to have any people over. We'll do the Zoom thing, but have a little bit of time over there. Maybe you should do what I do when I grab that camera. Go out and take a walk someplace. Find some time for yourself. Bring a notepad. You can talk into your phone, do whatever it is, but find those things that really drive you. That stuff that really gets you excited. The how bad do you want to do it stuff. That is probably more important than most of everything. You saw that in David's face. You saw it in his eyes. You saw it in the body language. That man, I can't wait to be a part of that show and to see what he puts together with his show, Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Definitely cool stuff. All right, so we're going every weekday, not breaking tradition on that one. So tomorrow we've got another guest. It's going to be Minister Grady Fuller. I am so looking forward to talking with Grady. Good friend, known him for years, met through Toastmasters, great stuff. That'll be another one of these wild kind of things. And then New Year's Day. Yes, we're on New Year's Day. That's with Kevin McCrudden. Kevin has done quite a few different things in his career, motivational speaker, all the rest of that kind of stuff. And he even got a day created. That's right. You'll hear all about that one. So timely. All right. Listen, have a great day. Make it work. You know, it's last, I guess, full business day of the year. As that goes tomorrow, shortened, I'm sure, you know, for many, but make it count and do what you do best, my friends. Speak well, speak often, and make things happen for yourself.